Hey guys, how are we doing? Crypto Insight UK here, bringing you back another video. And well, we had the highest ever weekly close yesterday in Bitcoin's history, and it's fantastic to see. Like these periods in crypto are the short periods of time that we get to celebrate and have a good time together. The rest of the time, we're normally just throwing shit at each other and bitching about things, about our coin's not going up as much as yours, and blah blah blah. But these are the short periods of time where we all get to actually celebrate together. On the whole, gonna make most of this video about XRP. Got a few things to talk about, obviously. Before we go into that, let's just have a quick check. It's one thing I haven't actually checked before we came on. It's total market cap, just to see if we got the highest ever close for total market cap. And we did. We got the highest ever close for total market cap as well now. And I'm looking to see this expansionary period. And I've called out 10 trillion based on the 4.236 extension. We talked about this in yesterday's video. We hit a perfect 4.236 yesterday in the last cycle. Sorry, so there's nothing for me that's saying we can't hit a 4.236 again this cycle. People are speculating that we won't, but I personally am in the camp of why not. Hey, so getting into XRP, it's going to be a bit all over the place this video. But on the 15-minute chart, XRP is starting to build some strong liquidity above us. This $3 sort of price target area, like the $3 price range, has been a bit difficult to work out. We got to like 303, we wicked there a few hours ago, and we keep trying to break through, and we haven't quite yet. But we've got quite a bit of liquidity above us, up to about 310, so that could give us the fuel to break through there. And now let's go and look at Bitcoin because this is important for us. I'm going to look at Bitcoin on the daily. This is the hourly. Let me just take us to the daily. Because on the hourly, look, we've taken most of the liquidity. But on the daily, I said this is probably the start of alt season. We'll get into that in a second, actually. So I'm just going to get rid of those, but we'll get into that in a second. What we can see is Bitcoin has pushed into this deep area of liquidity, but we haven't quite got up to this next like red patch, the deepest area, which, as you can see, acted as fuel last time we got there. On this period here and pushed us much higher and acted as fuel back in this area here. And I keep saying the exact same thing over and over again. In the weekly newsletter, I talked about it again. I referenced a few weeks ago where I said, look, we're in this period here about to expand, and that would be this period here about to expand, and look what's happened. But the interesting part, and this is where it gets really exciting, guys, is... So obviously, again, my projections in the newsletter. So go and check it out. It's obviously completely free to read. 9th in rising this week and 81st or 83rd overall in crypto. So fantastic achievement for us. But this is the exciting part. And now I can draw this on now so I can show you live, which I probably might do that in a second. But this is the exciting part. What is this showing? Well, this red line is the XRP chart and the bar pattern is Bitcoin. And it's showing this period here. Like this little section here is actually this section. So it's this section before Bitcoin breaks out. And you can see by the structure, it's like November the 5th, 24. And if we go back and look at the newsletter, you can't actually see the date at the bottom. But this is November the 5th, 24, just in here. And what you can see is Bitcoin's done most of its move in the 6 days following the breakout. Most of its move in the 6 days following the breakout from here to here. Pretty much those 6 day period, most of the move's done. I'm trying to compare that to now. So I'm saying, look, if it's not going to be exactly the same, but if it's 6 to 10 days, let's say, and we get most of this move done for Bitcoin, then what happens next and what do altcoins do? Well, in this period, after that 6 day period when Bitcoin started to slow down, XRP saw a tiny correction. I don't know if you can see the blip there, but we saw a tiny correction that was at about 69 cents. And then for the next 19 days, XRP pretty much took over the market and it sent it from that 69 cent up to $2.70. And yes, everything consolidated a little bit more, and then it pushed up further towards that 330 mark. So that's what I've basically been saying could happen now. And I'm going to show you that actually. I will show you it. We'll just try and get this overlaid on while we're talking. But basically, that's what I think is coming now for XRP. I think people are underestimating where XRP is going to go this cycle. So give me a second. Let me just try and get this overlaid to make it clearer like we did have I've done that pretty quickly actually. So what we saw is, let's just see if we can make this full screen. Don't know if you can see everything when I have full screen open actually. So I'm gonna keep it, I'll keep it a section of the screen. So this is the range that we're talking about there on Trading Different. Look, as we popped out, it's about 6 days where we see this major move. Look, 6 days, we move 31% for Bitcoin. And during that time, look, if we just overlay XRP, it's not actually doing anything. It's like slowly creeping, but not really doing anything up to this point. Look, and it gets that on the left-hand side of your screen. Look, it gets that 68-cent level, 70-cent, stalls out. This reminds me of what it makes me feel like what we're doing now a little bit at $3 here for XRP. Stalls out a little bit, and then Bitcoin rips, and then Bitcoin stalls out, and then XRP really catches up. And in the space of like a few days, it goes from 70 cent to $1.20, and then stalls out again for maybe 2 or 3 days, pushes up again towards that 150, stalls out again for maybe 3 or 4 days, and then really sends it up from 150 up towards that 270. So overall, you can see that XRP does lag Bitcoin, or Bitcoin leads the market generally, and then XRP itself really rallies to catch up. So that's what I'm going to watch for here. And I'm going to quickly show you Velo as well. So Velo is like something we use to track open interest. It shows us, well, I have different indicators on here. So we've got open interest in terms of coins, we've got funding rates, we've got standard spot volume, and we've got premium. Now premium and funding rates are kind of similar in a way. Premium's the price that people are paying to have a contract open, and funding rates are which side of the trade is getting paid. So what does this mean? And obviously open interest is the amount of leverage essentially in a system, and spot volume is just literally the amount of spot being purchased, like sold or bought. So it doesn't have to be bought specifically, but it's sold or bought. So if we look at what's going on here and what happened for our last breakout back, this is when we're at that same time period we've just discussed, what we can see is premium actually went green. Funding's pretty much been green this whole time, and then it went red again, and then it started to rip up. Now, what the interesting part for me is the flip between being negative premium to positive premium, and that is happening again now on an increase in open interest, and that is happening again now on an increase in open interest. And this whole period here was when XRP ripped up. If you look at the bottom of your screen, if you can see that. Now, premium being positive isn't necessarily a positive thing. It essentially means that it costs more to open a long than a short, but what it does show is that there are people interested in the market, especially when we're seeing increased open interest. More people are betting on something, and that's a self-reinforcing cycle. So as much as it could be viewed as in the long term as a negative catalyst, like more and more people going long so they can be squeezed to the downside, what you can take away from it is there's clearly interest in the asset. Interest in the asset also means when there's open interest going up like this, and premium's not like massively high, but also neither are funding rates. Like look how high funding rates can get, meaning that's when loads of people are on the long side of the trade and not the short. It's no way near that time, and open interest is squeezing much higher. It's basically saying that yes, longs are climbing slightly higher than shorts, but shorts are still a very large part of this open interest portfolio, which can in turn, when we continue this, the hype and the pressure and the push to the upside, especially if we can see some more spot buying coming in, it can push us above these resistance levels, and then that's when you start to see these short squeezes. That's when we can get some really aggressive price action to the upside, and that is what I expect will come at some point and pretty soon, probably for XRP. So that's what I'm looking for there for XRP. Maybe when Bitcoin hits that 125, we'll really see XRP potentially break through new all-time highs. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. I've tried to explain that in a way where I think it's most obvious to me, but obviously it could be difficult if we're not experienced in this. We're looking at XRP on the weekly time frame. What we can see is we didn't quite get the highest ever weekly close, but we got a significant weekly close, basically eradicating all the price action since the 3rd of March, which is pretty cool. If we look at XRP ETH, we can see we closed above the key resistance level, but we didn't quite get the close that I was talking about in yesterday's video. XRP Bitcoin, however, actually it's XRP ETH, just about to make that bullish cross. I think we've really about to see a run up for XRP based on what I've just shown you at the start of this video, and then I'm just trying to back it up and finish it off with this. And then I have a few XRP memes to talk to you about as well. No paid sponsorship or anything, so you don't have to watch that part if you don't want to, but I just something that I've got, I wouldn't say I've got my eye on. I haven't actually added anything. I still have my bags, and I just keep my eye on them every now and then. They're starting to move a little bit. So XRP Bitcoin, significant price action. We swept the lows, lovely green weekly candle here to push us through the resistance levels and the Gandalf line that Kreb was talking about, but also I've been calling this pattern for a long time. I said, look, we'll probably sweep the lows and come up, and that's what we've done. And XRP dominance is the most exciting one for me here. We've come down after Wyckoff accumulation completion, in my opinion. Sign of strength, last point of support. We've come back down, we've tested the top of the range and seen a strong resistance from it. Cross bullish on the weekly RSI, and are looking to continue to the upside. So that's what I'm watching here for XRP. So finally, I said I would discuss a couple of memes here with you. The first one is drop. In no particular order, guys. They're just things that I look at because I've got a decent bag of drop. It's starting to break some recent swing highs. Still got a few levels to break, and obviously it's increasing with the price of XRP as well because this is against the dollar. What we want to see are the memes outperform our XRP bags. So I'm watching for that. Also, Sigma is looking a little bit interesting to me here. None of these I've got like massive portfolios in. Drop's my biggest holding, apart from Brito. Brito, I was just got in so early and never sold any, so my holding of that is actually obscene in real terms. But Sigma's looking pretty good here too. It's trying to come up from the bottom. I do think that there'll be a catalyst, and I think XRP memes will probably start to push. I only really hold Drop, Brito, Sigma, and I think Scrap is the other one. Yeah, Scrap is the fourth one, and I haven't really looked at Scrap. Fair enough, it looks all right. All of them look like they're trying to wake up off the bottom, and then this is where you can see these parabolic expansions. Look, I'm not saying you need to go out there and buy them or not. I have a first ledger link if anyone does want to trade XRP memes in the description below. Let's see what happens. Like if the ecosystem starts to wake up, we could see in Flare networks potentially come online. Let's have a look at Flare. Actually, it's one thing I've not looked at for a long time. Let's have a little look at Flare. If we see Flare networks start to wake up and bring more DeFi opportunities to the XRPL, I presume people are going to start playing around in the XRP ledger a little bit. Flare's just consolidating. I haven't covered it for a while because there's not really been anything. There's not anything to say. We're just consolidating in terms of price action. But on the 3-day time frame, actually, this is starting to look pretty good. We do need to start to see some closes above the 0.22 cent level, and then I can start to get a little bit more excited. Not really done anything with my Flare bag. I've just been left it to delegate, so I'm earning rewards on that and waiting to see when some announcements come out, if that can catalyze price, and I hope it does. I may add to Flare if XRP outperforms massively in the short term to like $7, $8, $9, $10, $11, and Flare's not really done too much yet. If it's not done a similar sort of percentage gain, I'll probably add to Flare a little bit with some of the profits that I take from XRP. The rotations are how you make massive returns on capital in terms of percentage, but it's obviously a risky game to play because if you rotate and the asset you buy doesn't go up, you're basically selling out of your profits. But it is how you make massive multiples on crypto. Realistically, is rotating the early winners, and hopefully this cycle that's XRP because that'd be fantastic for us all. Anyway. More of a chat today. There's not loads to report on. We're waiting to see if XRP can crack all-time highs. I'm showing you why I think and when I think it's going to do that, based on what's happened historically, not just based on speculation or just pulling some bullshit out my ass. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, please do me a favor and subscribe, hit the like button, and share it with a friend. Also, please do go and read my free weekly newsletter. Subscribe to that as well. It really helps me out, and I'm very proud of that, of what we've done so far with that. We're 9th, as I said, in rising newsletters. Look, I'll show you weekly insight. We are 9th in rising crypto newsletters. Boom. And in bestsellers, I think we're 83rd, which is just such a fantastic achievement. I actually can't even explain. So yeah, go and subscribe to that if you want to have a read of what I've got, what I think comes next. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Peace up, A-Town down, as Crypto Insight UK would say. See you on the next one.